In this volume of JJK, you do not only get Yuta suffering, Gojo kicking ass, Geeto dying, but you once again get to see Inumaki choke. Jokes aside, I thought this was a great volume. You could tell it was a prequel because it started out the same exact way as JJK did, the original timeline at least. You know, instead of Yuji, it's just Yuta. He's about to be secretly assassinated. Gojo's protecting him. Gojo's beefing with the elders, but that never changes any story we're in. You know, youth power rock until we die. Familiar faces pop up. We see Maki, we see Panda, we see Inumaki, the principal, those twins that got killed by Sukuna. Not to mention my boy Geeto, probably the person that almost takes the volume. It was between him and Yuta, and those are some of my favorite characters in the series, so I'm glad they're main. I love Gojo, but I'm glad he did not take a front seat in this volume because he's a really big part in the main series, and I'd like to know a little more about Geeto, you know, the real Geeto, not the fake one. So I really like seeing him, his power, how he reacts to people, you know, regular people, the one he calls monkeys. And I guess they are monkeys in the sense that he's just plucking ticks off of them. Like, literally, this girl was being molested by this curse, and it was just mad heavy on her shoulders, and he just put him into a little ball and just put it into his pocket, and that's why they called him Buddha. I can't believe I didn't even give the story before I told you guys that. And that sly dog made it all work in his favor. He had 4,461 curses on his side for the night parade of 100 demons, and I mean, that's a lot. But at the same time, they all knew they were going to lose. It was all just an undercover mission to get Rika. And with the special grade Vengeful Curse Spirit, he believed his chances would go from 20 to 99% victory, which is insane thinking most of the Jujutsu Society was going against him at the time. I mean, he had strong people in his corner. I mean, Miguel held Gojo out for, what, like 15 minutes? I've never even heard of that before. That imbued rope magic, it was honestly very confusing at first, and then okay, it took decades and Gojo's ripping through it because to me Gojo's the strongest in the whole entire universe. So I mean, if you could just make things like that overnight, he wouldn't be as strong. So it made more sense after I figured out it took years to make. My real question is, would Geeto even be able to use Rika after Yuta died? Because I feel like she would dissipate the same way that she did at the end of the whole entire volume. So, because he's not alive, he doesn't need to be punished anymore, the curse is broken. Or would the curse stay on longer without Yuta being alive, and maybe she would feel like she needs to suffer? Maybe she become even more powerful curse, having her own consciousness involved with, I feel like either it would be too strong for Geeto, or he would capture her and not be able to use her abilities, or just not really be able to bring her out as often as he'd like because it'd be uncontrollable. Obviously, she's more powerful than anything he's ever encountered with before. He called her surreal, unlimited curse energy. It was very insane for him to say all of this knowing how many cursed spirits he has. So just reading on how deep this curse is, I was kind of feeling like worse for Yuta. And I wish Yuta was really the main character of the story. And the prequel, it definitely seems like that's how it was headed. But he ended up redoing everything and made Yuji the main character with Sukuna, which is definitely cool. And I don't wish it was any different. But seeing how things could have been was also very nice because Yuta, being a bashful kid and then learning slowly using his powers, learning from the Zenin failure herself, Maki, she was even trying to punk him in the beginning because he was fidgety, and I don't know, I really like his character. Seeing him fight with Inumaki, seeing Inumaki choke. Let's just go over that real quick. This dude chokes every time he's needed in the series. So I feel like he doesn't get any shine, even though he uses a super cool ability. He's not able to take it, especially if his throat medicine's gone. He almost got everybody caught up. They were thinking it was going to be an easy mission, but back to what we're talking about, which is Yuta actually upgrading as a character when fighting Geeto. I mean, they originally left him back because they didn't want him to do anything with the war. Rika wreaking havoc on everybody is not what they wanted. So they left him alone with Maki, even though, well, they didn't really know that. That's fair enough to say that they didn't know anything. So, yeah, they left him there, and, Geeto took advantage of that. Geeto pretty much just set a time for everybody to follow. Everybody did, including Miguel. Again, round of applause for holding off Gojo. He would have tore through me in a second. I the fight between Gito and Utah was probably one of my favorites in JJK history. Not only because you get to see some of the cursed spirits that Gito actually wields that aren't whack. I mean, you get to see the special grade ones, the random coffin. I mean, I actually think that was the special grade, an earlier version of her, maybe. Or maybe it was just some random curse that he didn't want to get his head crushed, so he replaced it with his own body. And, I mean, again, that also shows that the speech power is really not that effective for long-term fights. It really is only good for moving people across town and, being like a cross guard or something. And I'm not bombing on him. I just wish that he would understand that he is a backup character right now, like a support role, because he's not able to take long durations of like throat bleeding. Some like it's obviously caving in on him. He needs throat medicine. If that's not there, he's more in the way than he is useful. And now seeing Yuta pretty much do the same thing with only a little bit of a handicap, having the microphone of that family, it just shows how, one, naturally talented Yuta is, and two, how overhyped I think the cursed speech is. Speaking on how talented Yuta is, let's go to the best part of the volume, and that is Geeto versus Utah. That fight is going off of the Richter scales. I mean, obviously one of them ended up without an arm, and one of them ended up just waking up not knowing what happened. Yeah, Utah pretty much just pulled a Gon move right there, tried using his life force, but obviously it doesn't work like that in that show, so it's not, he didn't die or anything. I don't even understand exactly what happened to him completely. I just know that he was ready to die. He made complete peace with it, and even if that meant that she had to kill him when everything was over. And thankfully that didn't happen and the curse was broke. But seeing what she was able to do with the proper motivation and loving him so much and how much she beat Gito's ass was absolutely incredible. It was hilarious watching Gito pretty much just try to tutor Yuta and it just being like, yup, nope, we're in this for now. And he just punched him right in his face. He tried stabbing him. He was going in. There was nothing he could have said. He was tired of being looked down upon and he was just dogging him out. And I respect that. Well, he had the Queen of Curses on his side, so how could he lose? And I'm being dead serious. I don't know if Gito was, I don't think he was holding back, but I believe if Gito actually wanted to kill him, he would have been able to kill him when he was passed out on the ground, no matter how weak he was or anything like that. There was nobody stopping him from doing that. The reason I say that is because Gojo pretty much aired him out before he killed him. He said, "You're not the kind of guy to spill Jujutsu sorcerer blood unless it's needed." And I agree. He seemed like he loved that and he genuinely wanted to make a better world for them. It's kind of like Magneto in the mutants. I'm not saying this is anything like X-Men, but Magneto is willing to destroy the world so mutants could make the next one. Actually, it's way more similar than I thought about it at first. I mean, they're talking about the next evolution of man. Maybe he's Magneto. Maybe Gito's just Magneto. But before I diverge from the subject too much, I'm going to give the volume a 9 out of 10. I give it a 9 out of 10 probably because I think it wraps itself up very well for only being 4 chapters in one book. Utah breaks the curse. Rika is finally able to go into the afterlife or whatever they go to. They didn't really explain that. I was very happy to see that. I like how it ended up. He was the one cursing her. That was very clever and a really good way to end it. Not only that, but Gojo killed Gito, which I was actually ecstatic about. Not because I wanted Gito to die, but more or less because that was the respect he deserved, getting put down by his best friend. You couldn't ask for any better, to be honest, and he at least went out with a smile on his face. The only question I have left is, how does he keep his power? Does he still have his power? Is it in the ring? Is it in himself? Was he the one that did all of this himself and she didn't give him the power and he just could do stuff like that automatically? I believe he can copy techniques. I don't know if he has boundless curse energy though. That has yet to be seen in my eyes. I'd like to see him in the main JJK storyline, but I definitely believe he can copy abilities. Like I said, we saw it with the speech user. But that's it for my review. If you like it, go to my channel. I have some other videos. Comment, like, and subscribe. Have a good one.